Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. It is great to have friends with me today. I have What the Beck, Lone Wanderer, and Jenny. Die Hard is a Christmas movie, I assume is the rest of that, right, Jenny?
No, just Die Hard.
Just Jenny Die Hard. Okay,
Yeah, I'm
Jenny
one of the
Die Hard.
McLean family, and I just thought I'd reveal for today.
Okay, okay. And thank you. Mark Caesar is with us. Patrick is with us. Hello. Now, I do not have anything specific planned for this stream. My plan was just a chance to hang out with friends and get catch up. We haven't done that in a while. And I also kind of wanted to let this be kind of a chat-driven stream to a certain extent. The whole purpose of this stream is to be here for people who don't have people to hang with on Christmas Day. So if you are in the chat and you are just lonely and wanting someone to talk to, you go ahead and put in your comment or your question and we'll talk about it. And I'll go ahead and get us hit off just telling you a little bit about what we were doing for Christmas. We had Christmas yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because Robin has to work tomorrow. So Robin had to leave for work a half an hour ago, which is why I asked Purple for this time slot. Is that way I got to spend the whole weekend with Robin, and then as soon as Robin left, then I jump in and stream with friends. So
Good
yeah,
deal.
we did Christmas yesterday.
So we can bring you down easy.
Well, actually, it's more to keep me from going down. I do tend to get a little depressed every time Robin leaves, so it just feels so much better when I've got friends to hang with afterward.
Well, that's why this show exists.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's right. So what did you make for dinner, for Christmas dinner, Granny? Because
we went to an Italian restaurant.
Wow.
And we did that because Robin's a vegetarian, but I don't have any vegetarian dishes that my husband would be happy with as Christmas dinner. So I didn't want to make two main dishes for three people. So so we went to an Italian restaurant where Robin had plenty of vegetarian options, and my husband had a great big thick pork chop, and we all had what we wanted.
Yeah,
that's good.
No, then that's great. Yeah, worked out good.
Did you make anything today, or for you?
Today I made pancakes for breakfast. One of the other big things we do for Christmas is we always do scrambled eggs and cinnamon rolls. So yesterday we had scrambled eggs and cinnamon rolls for breakfast, and then Italian for lunch dinner.
Dinner. Yeah.
That's what I call it, dinner.
And I would say the early bird special.
Well, we actually ended up going at 1 because the restaurant was closed. I don't know if they closed early or if they just didn't have any reservations after that, but that was the latest reservation I could get was 1 p.m.
Is it a chain restaurant or a family?
No, it's a local thing. It was Amerigo.
See, that's the best. Then you're going to get good food. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The chain stuff, everything is just frozen these days. It's horrible.
No.
Actually, though, I have to say over the last 5 years, Olive Garden has gotten much better. Like their menu has, in the last 10 years, has like doubled in quality. So.
Oh, here, Robin's Nest says Robin had a lot of vegetarian options. Just tuning in, and I'm a vegetarian named Robin. Robin is my son, and he's a vegetarian. And we went to an Italian restaurant. One of the things they had that Robin really kind of didn't end up ordering, but was kind of excited about, was they had a goat cheese macaroni and cheese. And Robin absolutely loves mac and cheese and absolutely loves goat cheese, but I do not care for goat cheese, and so I never put it in my mac and cheese.
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah. But Robin's also hesitant to order mac and cheese at a restaurant because I make really fabulous mac and cheese. And it's hard to find anyone that can make mac and cheese like I do.
I don't know. We might have to face off. We're already about 8 hours drive. I'm only about 8 hours from you. We can face off.
Oh, that sounds like a great idea. So where are you?
I am in a very small town called Bugaloosa, which everyone calls Cabbage Town because it was made up around a mill. They call it like the Magic City. I think it was the Goodyear family that came down, and they built a mill, and after they raped all the trees. It took about 10 years. They were kind of out of there, and then it got took over by another company. And it's pretty much the life of the town. But I'm right on the border. I mean, I go out 5 minutes up the road. I'm in Mississippi. So
Okay.
yeah. So
You
about
live in
8 hours.
Mississippi, huh?
Well, I'm in Louisiana, but it's 5 minutes from Mississippi border.
Okay.
Like you may as well be there. We used to joke and say, let's go to another state just for breakfast,
Yeah, just drive across the border. Yeah.
Drive across, yeah. And it's a lot of times we would go over there to get gas and cigarettes because the price was crazy. Like 5 minutes over next day. Like the taxes I think are maybe 3%. And they complain about that, when they come. But I mean, it's very poor there, and one of the poorest states. But I was going to ask you, with Robin's spelling of his name, is it with an I or a Y?
Yes, Robin is spells his name with an I, and he chose the name for Robin Hood. He admires Robin Hood.
There you go.
And Robin says, "Yes, my son is trans, and so you're male to female, and my son is female to male." Yeah, that is interesting.
Wow, this is like mind blowing. Do you guys know that thing with Johnson and Kennedy, on Lincoln? I mean,
part of the reason Robin picked the name was Robin wanted a name that started with an R, because Robin liked the initials that I gave him and wanted to give a nod to the name that I originally gave him. So Robin picked a name that would keep the same initials that he had from his dead name.
Yep, that's what I did.
I find it fascinating going through not me personally, but going through that process of picking the name. And I've talked to a lot of people who have tried to pay homage to the dead name. I find it very interesting.
Well, honestly, I wasn't really paying homage to mine. I just really liked my initials. And I wanted to keep them. And I didn't want to get rid of the last name because it was so much part of growing up, with my family. As much as I despise my father's side of the family, it wasn't about him. It was about, my siblings and everything. So I kept it. Yeah.
I'm going to answer these questions from Constellation
Pegasus.
Okay. The channel is primarily anti-theist, atheist, but I also, because I have a transgender son, I'm a ally of the transgender community, and so I do some things along that line. I also do a lot of things about empowering women. I occasionally do things that are just purely political. So basically, if it's liberal, if it's anti-theist, I'll do it. And then he or she, I'm sorry, I don't know the gender of Constellation. Okay. But Constellation says, I assume there's no flat earth and dome cosmology believers here. No, definitely not. I don't usually debunk.
Hey, don't speak for me.
Oh,
whatever, Jenny, you're not a flat earth.
Flat earth is a monopole, It's like this toral field of magnetrons or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. That's it. You're ridiculous.
Lost Fan, yes, that's what we are here for.
Yep.
You have probably a set of some of the most brilliant people regarding trans on the planet. They're in the next show, but we're close enough to ask questions if we can't get them.
Jenny, you are my mentor. I mean, when I started doing this channel, I knew so little about what it meant to be transgender. But so you are my mentor. So anything I get, it's thanks to you.
Well, what really amazed me about that period in our relationship is that you asked all these questions. I had no idea what the answers were, so I just made shit up, and it turns out to be true.
Jenny.
Lost Fan says, I'm a trans ally too, but I have much to learn. Perhaps I can ask her. Absolutely, Lost Fan. Absolutely.
Yep. We are about, you can ask anything as long as it's respectfully.
Thank you, Ember.
Well, it is usually Jenny's fault, but we try not to pick on her about it too much. So let's be nice, folks.
So, Jenny, what did you do for Christmas? Anything?
Yeah, this goddamn marathon. I've been on it for like 23 hours now.
I was gonna say.
No, I didn't, nor did I have anything planned. I did for my Christmas meal. I had one of Don's pizzas. They're only three for $11. It's $3.60 piece, but they're not bad, especially if you like actually add cheese and stuff. They do have, they're not exactly vegetarian. There is meat on them, but the meat is dead, so I think that helps.
Well, I would hope so. I certainly wouldn't want anything crawling across my pizza.
Well, I don't do the boiled lobster thing. That's cruel. So no, I didn't do anything. Now tonight I'm going to have a special Christmas dinner though. I'm going to have a tombstone pizza, which are like $6 a piece, and they're much better with cheese.
With
Nice.
cheese.
Nice.
Have you checked the cheese content in the cheese?
No, I'm afraid to.
Just be quiet, Lone. Leave it alone.
Actually, I don't fear that, to be honest, because Tombstone is from Wisconsin.
There you go. No, I hear they're very good. I haven't had one though.
Constellation Pegasus, even if you are very conservative minded, you are still most welcome here. I actually welcome contrary opinions. I get theists in here as often as I can. Although, to be honest with you, I haven't always been the kindest to them. And so I can understand why some don't want to be here. But that's okay. I'm learning.
Yeah, I mean, it is all about having discussions and sharing perspectives and maybe opening someone else's mind, and then they can open someone else's mind, and it's a chain reaction. So we are totally on board with that.
Mm-hmm. John asks, oh, go ahead, Jenny.
I'm just going to say you're perfectly welcome to being conservative. Everybody's allowed to be wrong about stuff, so you just come on down here.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
we'll answer any questions you got.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
kidding,
Right.
John
We're
asks,
all wrong about something, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah,
So.
Definitely. How did the New Testament writers know to address atheists? I'm not sure that they did.
Yeah, I was looking at that one. I'm not sure. I am kind of fascinated by conservative atheism. It's kind of refreshing.
Mm-hmm. You should check out, gosh, if I can remember his name now. It's a double name. And when I say that, what I mean is it's the same name twice.
Adolf?
No. It'll come to me at some point, and I'll shout it out when I remember. But
John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt.
I had him on as a guest once before, and he was a little different. Although it was interesting because even though he called himself a conservative, he's actually he's actually liberal when it came to social issues. He's just more of a financial conservative.
I know many conservatives that are like that, and they call themselves conservatives, but social issues, they're liberal. It's really all finance.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what is a conservative atheist? Because I've never come across that.
Well, I guess that would depend on the person, and lost family have to. There's a question for you, Granny.
Yeah. Okay. So what's it like to be the parent of a trans person? Do you feel like you lose something? All those memories of your son being a cute little boy, calling him by his boy nicknames, etc. Okay. No, I don't feel like I lost anything. Trying to relate to the past is the most difficult thing, though, because I'll talk about my son, and well, one thing. There's a blue dress that's hanging in my closet. It's the last dress that my mom ever made. And my mom made it for my son before my son transitioned. And this dress is really very special because I had seen a dress in a catalog and it was extremely expensive. It was like $250. And I sent my mom a picture of it, and my mom said, "Oh, I can make this." And my mom gave the picture to my dad, who's an engineer. And from the picture, my dad made a pattern. And then my mom bought the material and made the dress from the pattern that my dad made. And so this dress is very special to me. And when I tell people that this is my son's dress, people find that a little bit confusing. So yeah, relating to the past is the most difficult part. But and I sometimes misgender my son when I talk about him in the past because I didn't think about him that way in the past. It's easy to talk about him as my son in the present and in the future, but it's more difficult in the past.
Yeah, same thing with when I refer to mine. When I'm talking about when he was little. So this is what I was going to say. You could say it was your daughter's dress still, Granny, because at the time you had a daughter, but technically it is your son's dress. And that's where I have problems is the age thing. When you get down into when he was a baby, like I have to force myself to say when he was a baby, it's really hard for me because it's totally different line of thinking back then. You know, he didn't have his personality yet. He was just a little cute baby running around, you know? So it's hard to, go from that girl dressed in pink to in those years. But once you get over like 20-ish, no problem. Even before he started transitioning, because he was always like a tomboy anyways, But yeah, I have issues with that.
Jenny,
I mean, as far as oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I didn't realize you weren't finished.
Yeah, I kind of thought of something else to say. As far as feeling like losing something as a child, I don't have that issue at all. I don't feel like I lost any. I feel like my son found himself, and I'm okay with that. So I didn't. Although my sister, who is kind of like a mother to me, she's 9 years older than me and helped raise me. And after my mother passed away, she's always been kind of mom. She did say she felt like she was losing something. And so she fought with that a little bit.
Jenny, did you want to add something to that?
Well, I just that everybody's journey is different. That there's always going to be certain similarities because there's always some sort of very, very similar goal, even across born genders. But still, everybody's going to be way different, and sometimes radically different. For example, a person may grow up to have different beliefs that don't necessarily make sense. I'm hesitating because I'm trying to find a quote here. Oh darn.
While you look for that, I'm gonna bring up a couple other comments and have a minor disagreement with Beck, just because my experience is slightly different. But before I get to that, okay, are you familiar with T-Jump? He's another atheist YouTuber who focuses on philosophy. I think you two would have an interesting dialogue. I am familiar with T-Jump. I've never spoken with him directly. I do want him on as a guest, and I've been trying to figure out how to get in touch with him. So if you are able to get in touch with him, let him know that yes, I am looking for him as a guest.
He's on Discord.
He's on Discord?
Yeah, under T-Jump, as far as I know.
All right. Well, I'm a boomer, and I'm still having trouble trying to
We'll help you.
Discord.
We'll hook you up.
How old do you think Robin was when he first realized the truth about himself? Okay, this is the one that I really wanted because this one gets into my minor disagreement. And the answer is Robin didn't really realize the truth about himself until he was somewhere between the ages of 17 and 19.
Oh,
but
wow.
Robin definitely showed signs of who he is back as early as about 7. In elementary school, Robin always liked the books that the boys liked. Robin liked Pokemon. Robin got teased a lot at school. Oh, you like boy things. Oh, you like boy things. You're a boy. And Robin loved it. Robin never said it, but Robin loved it. Now, Robin didn't realize that that was an indication that he was transgender. until he was like somewhere between about 17 and first of all, we'd never heard of transgender when we were, back then. I had heard of it, but I certainly had never said anything to Robin about it. So, Beck, you were saying that, that Robin, that a person who's transitioned was the other gender before. And I don't necessarily agree with that. Robin would say that he's always been a boy. We just didn't realize it.
Yeah. And honestly, that's how it is with me too.
Okay.
Yeah. So I understand that. Yeah.
It's very confusing language. It's
well,
I can understand.
It's also it's like Jenny said, everybody's experience is different. Every person is different.
Like,
every family is different. So
yeah, I have a cousin. Well, it's my husband's cousin, and she came out as trans, and then the pandemic happened, and I had spent maybe 2 years looking at photos of her and saying the new name. I'm like, this is Lila. Lila is a girl. And then she came to stay with us about 6 months ago. She's like, I haven't been able to, be on my hormones and everything because of, the pandemic. And now I just think I'm non-binary. And, if you want to call me by my old name, you can. I'm just like, I just spent 2 years, training myself. And then I felt really terrible because I was like, I don't know if I feel comfortable with that. But what it was is that it wasn't really, well, it was twofold. It was her with the non-binary trait, but it was also there's a lot of push between the family where they just keep calling her by her dead name. Some of them are not doing it intentionally, others are. So it was getting to the point where she was just like, look, just call me by my other name, whatever gender you choose is fine. I'm like, I can't do that. But I felt so bad.
That's
Can I
interesting.
suggest something?
That's that I would class that as a social detransition or familial detransition. That there are people who detransition, who realize at some point that they are barking up the wrong tree. They do that sometimes just completely out of their selves, especially if they have a parent that completely ignores them and marginalizes them even further. But you'll also see that sort of situation like you're describing, where there's so much pressure from outside the person. In this case, mostly family, but often it's mostly people on the street, so to speak. Schoolmates and strangers and friends, former friends, that kind of thing. And they do it for exactly why your relative did, because they couldn't take it anymore. Okay, so it wasn't being trans that was the problem. It was everybody else who was the problem. Yeah. And they could not deal with it.
Well, when that happened, we had a family reunion. That's why she was down, or they were down. And so we decided I whipped up some pride scarves, and we wore those in the middle of summer and sat at our own table.
There you go. I would suggest having a conversation and saying which name is more comfortable for you. Screw the family. I want to say what's comfortable for you. So which pronouns do you want me to use? I'm okay using whichever name you prefer.
Yeah,
because
and we had that conversation.
A lot of people will just, since you're part of the family, they're just the whole family. I just give up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you might want to make sure.
Yeah, we had the conversation, and she still hit the wall, going, "Oh, whatever you decide." I'm like, "No, I want to know what you want."
Yeah.
And she just wouldn't. I'm like, "Okay, that's fine. Let's play Jenga."
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can always hit it back if the topic comes up again.
We'll circle back around.
There's also a certain number of people. I've heard this described before. I've never actually talked to somebody personally. I saw it on a documentary once. They were a detransitioner, and in talking about why they detransitioned, for them, it was the actual therapy, the GAC, the gender affirming care, GAC, that trans folks go to, and getting the hormones. The person was like almost 16, almost 17, whatever. And it was that actual change, beginning to change in the person's body, and how that felt, and how their thinking changes, which, because it does, that made them realize, no, this is not correct. And they stopped blockers, they stopped hormones, and they continued in counseling to get their head straight and things, but they went into a perfectly happy life without it. But they wouldn't have known unless they'd had that care and that opportunity.
That's a really good point. I think Beck is trying to say something.
Sorry.
Beck is muted.
People want to use that against the trans community as a whole and saying, oh, well, there's people that detransition. But that's why there's protocols in place. And the people that have skipped those protocols and paid cash out of pocket for surgeries, the ones that are out there complaining on Fox News, it's those people that did that. They skipped the protocols. They skipped the mental health stuff. They skipped the, living as who you feel like for a year and then getting on hormones for so long and then talking to your doctor about surgery later. Like they skip all that. And then they're, oh, well, look what happened to me. Well, yeah, you did it wrong. That's why there is a care plan in place. And yes, it needs worked on. And no, it is nowhere near where it should be, but it's there for a reason, and it's those kids or young adults or adults time to really grasp it and think of it and live like that and see, is this really what I want to do? That's why you test drive a car. So
that was one issue that Robin had transitioning when he did. I did not handle Robin's transition as well as I should have. And a big part of it was because when Robin first came to me as transgender, Robin was at that stage of life where he's transitioning from youth to adulthood. And I looked at this as just part of finding out who I am. And maybe who Robin is will turn out to be male. Maybe who Robin is will turn out to be non-binary. But this is just a journey of exploration. I did not take this as I know who I am. I took this as I'm trying to find out who I am. And that was a mistake on my part.
Well, you don't know till you live it.
No, you did the best you could.
There's a comment in chat I would really, really like to address.
Okay,
from one of our new friends here. It says, I'm stuck, XXXXX. According to conservatives, I'm an enemy to them theologically. It's all messed up. Both parties are screwed up. Now, that's the part that needs to be discussed. Put in the chat the answer to this question. Do you know what Project 2025 is? Just yes or no. And I'll continue. No, the parties are not the same, not even close. They never have been, and they especially are not now. There is one party in this country, I won't say who, but there's this one party in the country that has put up forth in their presidential platform that they want all trans people to be eradicated, and that is their word. And it was echoed in the thing called Project 2025. Okay, and that is an actual blueprint game plan for what the right wing. It came out of the right wing factory. This is not just some individual's writings. This is a project of the Heritage Foundation, one of the most nasty groups on the planet. Anyways, it explains exactly how they're going to take America after the presidential election, assuming that a Republican or Trump wins. And they also say that they're going to eliminate democracy, eliminate elections, eliminate women's rights, eliminate anybody who's in the government who's not a absolute loyalist to their political view. Essentially, make this place a dictatorship. Okay, and then they're going to go ahead and continue with the certain eradications that they need, and you need to know that you are one of the targets. Okay.
I am too. He thinks I'm poisoning the blood of this country. Even though I've got my citizenship. I could wave my citizenship, certificate in his face. He'd still call me an immigrant.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Although he's married, how many of them? And
yeah, was it
Yeah.
3 out of the? Was it 2 out of the 3? Yeah, 2 out of the 3.
2 out of the 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I will agree with you, Constellation Pegasus, which is a very interesting name, by the way. Do you like Pegasus and what? And how come? I'm personally in favor of like Orion, but anyways, from there, let's see, they are different. The parties are both pretty wacky when it comes to some things. I mean, they're both on the side of rightist economic policies, although one is much further right than the other. But neither of them are very centrist or very interested in helping the people who really need the help. But when it comes down to life and death of the citizens of the country, only one party knows what they're doing. The other party is trying to repeat a little guy with a funny mustache.
Yeah.
And
by the way, while we're on that brief topic, because we're not going to dwell on this, his ex-wife before she died, Ivana, had said he had some speeches of Hitler sitting next to his bed, and he would read them at night.
Yeah.
So
allegedly.
Yeah. So if you'd like to discuss that sort of thing later privately, I'd be more than happy to with you, Constellation.
Udef is right. Voter enthusiasm is horrendous right now. If voters don't turn out, Trump will easily win. I'm hoping he's going to end up getting barred from the ballot on enough states that he can't win, that he won't have a path to victory. And it won't take that many, about 5 or 6 of them, if they're the right states. And that's my hope. But I don't know.
Am I under the correct understanding that if he gets prosecuted in Georgia, then he cannot run there, correct?
I am not certain, because that would be a Georgia state law. I believe I heard that somewhere, but I'm not certain on that one.
Okay.
I'll have to look it up, but I think so. I think they have that, but he at least has to lose Iowa.
Well, if he loses Georgia and he's already lost Colorado.
Well,
I mean,
no.
all you need is 3 total, and there's no way he'll win.
Yeah, but it's going up to the Supreme Court, and from everything I've read and seen, and I've been watching a lot of legal breakdowns, is that it's probably going to get overturned for Colorado.
I don't disagree with you. I'm completely on the fence on this one. I have no idea which way it's going to go, but I don't think that their legal argument has merit, because their legal argument is, let the population decide whoever they want. Well, the problem with that is we do have some standards of who can and who cannot run for president. If the popular vote is that, most people want a person who is not a U.S. citizen to be president, no, they can't run. The Constitution specifies that they cannot run. If someone who is 30 years old wants to run and they're very popular, no, they cannot run. And the Constitution also specifies that a person who has been convicted, is it convicted? I can't remember the exact wording, but basically anyone who's violated their oath of office and who has led an insurrection also is ineligible. And so it doesn't matter how popular he is, and if that's who the people want, he is ineligible. The question is a factual one: did he in fact lead an insurrection? And that the court could easily go either way on.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to change the topic a little bit here, because I've been holding 4 comments for quite some time.
Go ahead.
John said Psalm 14:1 is what I should have included in my question. Verses such as these make it hard to leave the faith. And the verse that he's referring to is, the fool says in his heart there is no God, which I say this is just a ploy by whoever wrote it to try to keep people in the fold. I mean, that's what religion is all about, is we're going to scare you into staying here, which is a cult tactic. I mean, if you read the bite model, this is a cult tactic.
It is.
Christians use it as much as any other cult. Yeah, go ahead, Lone.
I tell you, I don't miss the community, but I do miss the food. Go to church.
Yeah.
I think I already even went to eat food. No, it's just yeah. I lost my train of thought, but yeah. Anyway, what are the other comments we've got?
Okay. Constellation Pegasus says, I'm a man of science, love particle physics. Religion fails historical, textual, and scientific fact.
Yes,
And
it
I'm
does.
with you 100% Constellation Pegasus. I would love for you to watch, if you haven't already, the video that I released on Friday, because particle physics is something that I got into. And I called this one, I'm going out into a limb because I don't know much about particle physics. So go ahead, give that a watch. Go ahead and critique what I had to say about particle physics and what that says about God. Basically, my argument was that according to particle physics, even energy has motion. So if God contains energy, then God could not exist before time because motion could not exist before time. And if God does not contain any energy, how can God act on a physical universe if God has no energy? Of course, I think, the answer to that is obviously magic. God is magic. God can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Magic. But
Yeah.
Magi.
but anyway, it's an interesting thought.
Are we tending to focus on atheism here in today's?
No, we're focusing on whatever.
Oh, okay.
Whatever comes up in the topics,
Yep.
We're just answering the chat's stuff.
Yes.
That's what we're doing.
And then Constellation said, since leaving religion, I've gone so far into believing deterministic universe and rejecting free will, going back and forth on that one, though. And I agree. I'm with you 100% on that one as well. I do not know if free will exists or not.
Honestly, that was one of the things. I mean, most people know about my journey. Like, my family were lukewarm, Christians. They went to different churches, soul searching. They never really took it very seriously. My mother went through Buddhism, all sorts, whatever, always soul searching. But for as long as I knew where stories came from, I just knew it wasn't true. I didn't have the vocabulary as a 5-year-old to say I don't think this is true, other than I don't want to go, it's boring. But free will was the one that really got me, because I was like, if free will, there is no free will, because that means that if, say, you have the free will to be a murderer, that means that God made someone for you to murder, so that person never had free will. And that's I don't know if I'm getting that wrong, but that's how I equated it. I'm like, well, that's really awful.
That's an interesting thought. John Piper says that there is no free will, that God has determined everything. And, if you are murdered, it was God's will for you to be murdered, because everything, happens according to his plan. And yeah, he's gone totally deterministic. And what's really weird is that he says the one thing that's not determined is sin, that people on their own decide whether or not they're going to sin, which makes no sense.
That's completely antithetical to what they say it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And if he knows everything that's going to happen, he knew it anyway. Why did he let it happen?
Why did he make you?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, he knew it was going to happen. Therefore, it's predestined. Therefore, it's on him.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like, there is no free will. There is no free will.
I mean, not really.
I got into a loop,
I mean, logically, it makes no sense to me.
What about all those guys who always get their prayers answered in the NFL and they get those touchdowns and stuff? Doesn't that pretty much prove, determinism and God, that God exists? Of course, all those children dying of cancer didn't get any help, but
no,
they probably didn't pray very well.
Right.
It doesn't matter. No, as long as the football games are won, that's all.
Yeah, that's the other one. I'm like, why would a loving God create suffering?
God needs a business card. It says, God, ultimate ruler, touchdown giver.
I had this conversation with S.J. Thomason recently when she posted about how she gave a absolutely brilliant commencement address in December to her university. And, God helped her to write this speech, and it was so popular, and everyone told her what a great speech it was. And she's so thankful that God helped her with this speech. And so I was, okay, so God couldn't be bothered to help the 25,000 people who died of starvation the day that you gave this speech, because he was too busy making sure that you wrote a popular speech.
Correct. Yes.
Hey, Purple.
Right.
I want to believe
Hello.
I want to believe that everything in life is free will.
Mhm.
I understand the generalized concept behind what some legitimate scientists say, is that you can't have free will because your brain resolves things before you actually do them, and so therefore it's not free will. And I think that's a bunch of bunk. The brain is marvelously dense in what it can accomplish and store and conjure, but it's slow as fuck. Okay.
But you can also sit there and make yourself think about it and analyze it and change your own mind too. So
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense.
Well,
Well,
see, but
I
the
think
very
all this-
act of doing that cancels out doing that, according to their logic. Because you're trying to make a decision about it, the brain has already made a decision for you to accept, and you do, because it's all that your brain can tell you. Okay, and this is their theory, not mine. And I just don't accept that. I just don't.
No, I think all they've proven is that, the decision process happens quicker at a level than they expected.
Jason, what would you like to talk about instead of this? That's perfectly valid for you to want that. Ask away.
Well, if I could just chime in on that, I think the free will issue is the one practical application of Pascal's wager. That I don't know whether or not I have free will, but I will conduct myself under the assumption I do. Because if I'm wrong, I couldn't help it anyway. And if I'm right, then I'm taking responsibility for myself.
There you go.
Exactly.
Pascal's wager is like eating a sandwich on a picnic that's been sitting in the cooler that's ice is melted for the last 4 hours, and choosing to only eat one of the two sandwiches left, because if it is bad, you'll only get half as sick.
It's processed meat. It's fine.
Purple, I intentionally didn't invite you onto the stream, not because I didn't want you, but because I wanted you to have a chance to rest if you wanted to.
Well, no, I just woke up. I napped for 3 or 4 hours there. I missed Breeze. I fell asleep sometime during Dave's stream, and I just woke up a little while ago and just made a pot of tea.
Okay,
Good.
very good.
You
Very
slept
good.
like 3 hours. That's a lot for you. We're happy.
Yes. Great.
I'll be good for a while here, probably long enough to finish this up. Well, we got about 13 more hours.
Slim, only if he remembers the safe word.
Ember says the neurology is very complicated. Certain decisions happen faster than you realize, and you justify them after the fact. But others, that's not the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I realize it's crazy how much you do on autopilot. Just walking around doing your daily activities. It's like, did I turn off the stove? Yes, I did. But I don't remember doing it. It's just crazy.
Isn't that
how much
isn't
you
that
do.
insane how that can bite you and never ever ever let go?
Mm-hmm.
I had the most blatant example of that I've ever had was, oh God, what was it? Late 80s, early 90s, I don't know, something in there. And I had my car shop, and I drove home to a little place called Newburgh, Wisconsin, and went to bed. But all the way there, all the way home, and all the way into bed, I kept saying, did I lock the front door? I cannot remember. Because I always would do this mental checklist where I clearly remember doing certain things. It's part of my obsessiveness. And I could not check that box. So I drove back to take care of it through 35 miles of heavy snowstorm in the dead of winter at 3 o'clock in the morning, even though I was going to be there in another few hours anyway. So I went down and I did that, and I came back, and I couldn't sleep the rest of the night, but at least I realized that, I did lock the door. I just didn't remember.
I know.
Yeah,
I've
I have to
done that
do
so many times.
something. I have to do something to make me for instance, last night I went to take my medication and I went, shit, did I already take it? And I sat there and thought, and I tried to picture it in my head, and I pictured it in my head, but it felt like it was the day before, not yesterday. So then I was like, well, now I can't take my pills because
a double dose. Yep.
I can't do double doses of them. So I have to wait till tonight to take them.
I have a routine that when I get up in the morning, my pills are on the left side of the sink. And as soon as I take it, I put it on the right side of the sink. And when I brush my teeth in the evening, I move it to the left side of the sink.
I do the same when I'm
get up
cooking.
in the morning, if it's on the left side, I haven't taken it yet. If it's on the right side, I've already taken it.
I do the same when I'm cooking. I put all the spices on one side and then to the other side as I'm putting them in.
I whip out my little iPhone and click the button that says medicine, and then I click the other box that says yes, I took it. So
okay.
There you go.
I had that problem too, and it solved the problem for me. Everyone's different, but it solved it for me.
Well, Ember, they give me like 3 months worth, so I'm not counting all those pills and trying to figure it out, and I don't even know the day I got the medication or what day I started it, or I don't know. I'm too ADD for that stuff. I have an alarm on my phone that goes off at 7 p.m. every evening to remind me to take my pills. Unfortunately, last night I was involved in all of the marathon stream stuff and talking to people and my girlfriend and blah, blah, blah. And next thing I knew, it was like 8:30 and I don't know if I took them or not. So,
of course, the downside is if I forget to take care of that, then I get these reminders on screen, like the ones that keep going past for the last 46 minutes that are reminding me to take a medication I forgot to take. Damn, that's annoying shit. Damn it.
I see you have another comment held, Granny. We want to address that one?
Yeah. From Peyton Dooley, who says, if there really was an all-powerful God, then free will doesn't exist. Otherwise, she isn't an all-powerful God. Yeah, that's one that I've run into a number of times, that omnipotence and free will can't both exist.
That's right.
Unless we lived in a perfect world.
Yes.
Wouldn't
that be lovely?
The religion of God. What is Christianity called before it was Christianity, by the way? Oh, Judaism. Anyways,
Judaism.
How could
Shut it.
Oh fuck, I forgot my point. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It'll come to you.
Forgive me, chat. Those in the chat who don't know me, I'm older than Granny.
Yes, she is.
You're the only one that can say that. Yep.
And
I was going to take the blame.
Bright and chipper, but the last several months my memory has been going down fairly rapidly, and they're starting to investigate certain things in my brain. So I do the best I can. So if I forget once in a while, just say, "You asshole," and move on.
No one's beating you up, Jenny.
I was just going to take the blame and say I have that effect on women.
Oh, really? Smooth criminal, huh? I wonder if we're missing anything in the chat.
I've been watching.
Oh, got a super chat.
Yep, I'm going to get to just 1 second. And that is, I said that Jenny's the only one that's older than me, and I think Purple is the same age as me, but I'm not certain on that one.
I believe you two are about a year apart.
Yeah, I thought we were like 2 years apart or something. But yeah,
I exist without age.
Is Granny old enough to remember the Apollo 11 landing? Sorry, if this is a question, I can imagine super exciting. And the answer is yes, I am old enough. And no, it doesn't bother me because I've given my age many times on the show. Partly when I see people talking about Frank Turek, and because Frank Turek and I are the same age, and there's one other famous apologist and I that I are the same age, and I don't think it's J. Warner Wallace, although it might be. And I sometimes Turek loves to pick on college students. And Apologia has occasionally said, why don't you pick on someone your own size or someone your own age? Just pick me. I'm the same age. And I love it when people come to me and call me young lady. And I'm like, look, I am not young. And if someone like Turek were to call me, I'd say, I'm actually 6 months older than you are. So, You could keep your young lady yourself. I had someone do
just-
that to me on Twitter recently, and I said, he actually called me little lady. And I said,
Ooh.
yeah. And I said, look, I have, no, he called me little miss is what he called. No, I'm
Ooh.
sorry. I'm misremembering. Miss lady. He called me Miss lady. And I said, look, I've been married for 42 years, probably longer than you've been alive. Hasn't anyone ever taught you to respect your elders? And he came back and said, well, I'm 20. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. You're 20 years old and you're calling me Miss Lady.
Yeah.
You're calling anybody anything.
Grady's like, I got one pair of shoes, two jackets, and 3 purses older than you, buddy.
You know what is fun about getting older?
Probably
though,
had boots older than him.
What is fun about getting older is I can go up to a guy like Frank Turk and tell him how wrong he is and cite exactly why, and then finish it with comma kid.
Yeah. There you go.
I had a pair of Doc Martens that I bought when that kid was born. They're 20 years old. Still have the same Doc Martens.
Yeah, as far as the super chat question, this is the thing that, people ask, what's the first historical event you remember? And for me, this was it. But I watched the first man land on the moon on TV when I was 5 years old.
And I remember this as well.
It was this little thing called the Bay of Pigs incident. Oh, that hurts.
I wasn't
to say.
born yet. So,
but see, it's like there are so many historical things that happened, that I can remember within the same time frame. So it's just like, which one impacted me more?
Yeah, well, it's just I was growing up through the Apollo program, so I was just watching all of this on TV as it unfolded.
Exceptionally average. Do you remember the Mercury mission? Do you remember the big scary detail of the John Glenn mission? What the big concern was and the danger that was developing and how the media reported it, blah, blah, blah. That they were not sure if his heat shield was still on the vehicle. Because there was a sensor that says, no, it's not there. Well, you got to land anyways. So you're either going to burn up or make it. Let's go.
Either way, you're going to land, buddy. Yeah.
Well, and it's like he didn't really have a choice not to land. He was just going to run out of air up there if he didn't.
Your grandmother is my age. I don't see how she could possibly not remember unless she really didn't watch or something.
No, the mother. Yeah. It's Tsunami's mother. Couldn't remember. The moon landing.
Oh, I just told him my age. I'm sorry. God damn it.
Another proof against God there, Amber.
One of my grandfathers could never accept that the Apollo was real.
Really?
Yeah, he said that, that was just TV. It was just the movies. Because, he just couldn't wrap his brain around that people had advanced that far, that we had the technology to do that.
Well, you think about it, like people who are my grandparents. My grandparents were born in the 1800s. And I think about. I've always thought about it for them. Even as a kid, I thought about this shit. And if they were born, let's see, cars didn't exist, airplanes didn't exist, bottled milk didn't exist, sliced bread, all these different. There was a lot of horse shit on the streets and all this kind of stuff. It has to be amazing to come from that youth and knowing all those things to Apollo. I mean, that's got to be an absolutely shocking thing to happen in your lifetime.
Yeah, my mother's father accepted it, and he was just in awe of all this because, it's one of the things I remember him saying was that when I was born, cars didn't exist, and I saw a man land on the moon.
In response to Tsunami, I would not doubt your mother for one reason. The comment is, my mother is 70 and insists she doesn't remember the freaking moon landings. I was like, how the hell could you forget something that cool? My husband doesn't remember either. My husband doesn't remember anything earlier than age 13.
Really?
And
wow.
It just
weird.
I don't know why, but he just doesn't.
Yeah, for me.
Did he have a head injury?
No. Not that he
No.
remembers.
I have a similar thing.
Yes.
You know, that
Got
for
me.
me, the man landing on the moon was just too impactful to forget. But I remember very little of anything that happened between when I was 5 and 14.
Mm.
The greatest discovery, change in the world that took place in my lifetime so far, and I'm pretty sure I have the timeline correct, was discovery and glorification of the tardigrade.
Yeah.
Tardigrades started all life on the planet. Prove me wrong.
Well, they are currently colonizing the moon.
Well,
So
yeah.
when we finally get a man back up there, we're going to find a colony of tardigrades, because they were on that Israeli lander that broke up when it landed.
Oh, I thought they took that down with the space lasers.
What were you guys saying? The Jews have bad aim? Come on now.
It could be, but it's still spilled.
Mark.
It still spilled cotton seeds and tardigrades on the surface of the moon. So the tardigrades are going to be farming the cotton for food, and that's what we're going to find when we get people up there.
and they're so cute.
They are.
I have a hard time telling what's the earliest historical thing I saw, because obviously I remember the moon landing, but there's two things that I remember that were very impactful, but they weren't single events. They were ongoing things that went on for years, and I don't know how early I remember seeing them. One is the Vietnam War, and the other is the civil rights movement. I remember watching on TV, I'm not sure if it was Selma, because I don't remember specifically which march it was, but seeing some of the marches and the police, breaking up the marches, but I don't remember which one it was that I saw.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So
I resolved later that I was destined to be a social justice warrior. Because the year I was born was the Brown v. Board of Education decision.
Wow. Jenny turned into a tardigrade.
Yep.
My dad,
my buddy in a
I think the earliest, I think the earliest historical, significant memory I have is of the Berlin Wall coming down.
Oh God, was that glorious?
The fall of communism, and hearing all the songs that they sung on the on the wall when they had that concert and everything.
Yep.
Like that's probably the earliest one. I remember our teacher asking us about it, and we had to write little essays about how we thought about it. And I don't understand why she would ask us at that age, because I'm going to date myself, but I was 5. 5, maybe 6.
Were you in Europe then?
I was in New Zealand.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I made a bad assumption. I thought you were.
That's right. Everyone always does that. Actually, most of the time now, when people meet me, they're like, "Are you from? What they say? Are you from Massachusetts?" Yeah, they just think I'm from the north. I'm like, yeah, sure. But I think that's one of the
knowing
first.
You're from New Zealand, I'd like you even more.
Yeah, I'm part of the 10% club. Only 10% of the world's population lives in the southern hemisphere. I'm part of the 10% club.
I learned about that when I was making a video recently, and made a comment about how most of the celebrations that are around Christmas really are about winter solstice, and winter solstice is a big thing for the northern hemisphere, which affects. And so I had to go look up what percentage of the population lives in the northern hemisphere, and I was shocked.
That's where I got it. That's where I got it from. The video. I was like, oh, really? 10%? Cool.
I was shocked that's only 10%. With
it's only
10%. Africa.
Get out your map. Get out your map. If you look at it is.
Is that like bring out your dead? Oh, sorry. I watched Monty Python recently.
Bring out the dead. But
I had just assumed that there were a lot more people than that in Africa alone.
No.
And the northern part of Africa is in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, the equator does run through the top of Africa.
It does. Yeah.
Okay, we have a super chat from Constellation Pegasus. Says, I'm excited about James Webb. We're on the edge of seeing the very first stars to form an incredible achievement. Yeah,
He's-
I am too. You know, it's absolutely phenomenal. And that was one of the things that I had to research for the video that I was mentioning that I just put out on Friday was learning about the God particle, the Higgs boson particle,
Yep.
Yeah.
In
and
Switzerland,
how
yeah.
that particle has no motion in it, unlike any other type of atom on the planet.
Mhm.
And that's why that could have been what started the Big Bang.
Yes,
And yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
I was
Wow.
going to say that coupled with the James Webb, I think we're on the verge of discovering how the Big Bang began.
Mm-hmm. And I was listening to NPR the other day, and I heard that they actually sent with lasers the first video out to space, and it was a video of a cat playing with a laser.
Mm.
Yeah, and the cat's name is Taters. So Taters is in space.
Taters with the lasers.
Mhm.
There's a great new invention I saw a while back. It's for a cat to play with lasers. It's a collar that they wear, and the laser is on the collar, and wherever they turn their head, the laser is always there. It makes them
Oh
crazy.
my God.
No.
I wonder if
yeah,
my cat
that-
let me
that's
put
that's
that on them.
mean. And
Come here, honey. I have
even
to turn you off.
and okay, and I'm gonna give this as a tip for anybody with cats. Even the laser game, if you play that with your cat, when you turn it off, give them a treat. You know, because that's their normal routine, you know, is they hunt, kill, eat. So if
Oh,
they've
yeah.
been hunting this thing and they can never catch it, you know, that can actually do psychological damage to your cat. If day after day they're hunting the same thing and they never catch it. So you got to make them think that they actually caught some food.
So get mouse-shaped treats and give them that. Check.
Well,
Will
just
do.
any kind of treat. Just,
I
you
know.
know,
I'm
so
just
they
being
couple that with the
sarcastic.
hunt.
I didn't know that though, Perps. That's interesting.
Put it on the
This
floor
is
while you're making the cat chase, and then zero the laser in on it to stop the process, and they come to the end of it, and there's a treat.
Yeah, I always have it go so that when I shut the laser off, so that it looks conceivable that it like ran under the closet door or something.
here's you know, Von Rick's comment that there's another telescope being built that should be 5 times clearer than the James Webb and should be finished in 2028.
Oh,
And I made
shit.
I made the comment in my video that I expect that my grandchildren will find the answer to the question of how did the Big Bang occur. And
Mhm.
people are thinking, oh, grandchildren, that's a long ways away. No, my oldest grandchild turns 12 next week.
Wow.
So in 2028, let's see, that's only 5 years from now. She'll be 18. And so in 10 years from now, she will be one of the people that might be working on this.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Dare to
yeah.
dream. Dare to dream.
12. I thought more like 10. I can't believe your grandkids are growing up too fast for me, Granny.
Yeah.
My oldest niece decided when she was way back in kindergarten that she wanted to go to Mars.
Mm-hmm.
And she later, as she got older, she was like, well, I don't have to go myself, but then I'd have to work on the project. You know, I was
Okay.
like, damn, I was
There you
8
go.
years old and you know that? Wow.
Victoria said that I'm under the impression that cats are already not already psychologically unstable. And no, I have rehabilitated a number of broken cats. Yeah, that's it. It's kind of just something along with raising children that's been my life is, you know, taking care of animals that were so messed up that no one else knew how to deal with them.
Mm.
I think I'm the panel dog person. I'm not sure what Lone has for pets. You have a cat, don't you? Because you're allergic to it and you just like it anyways. Or
No, I don't have any animals. We did have a rescue dog that passed away. I
okay.
think it was the year before the pandemic. And when the pandemic happened, my husband and I had a really long talk about it. And I know it's kind of morbid, but we said we didn't want any other animals because what if something else happened like that? I'm not leaving an animal alone. I don't want them to outlive me.
I was told I should not own a dog because I'm trans and the dog will attack me.
What?
What?
Makes no
Oh,
sense
hold
to
on.
me.
I'm sorry. What?
Just what I said.
Was that
No.
supposed to be a
How
joke?
does it-
Because
No, it's not a joke. Somebody actually said that.
I
Okay.
don't know about any of them attacking you, but it is something that has been noted by a lot of trans people, is that if they've had a dog before they transitioned, the dog was, able to smell the changes in the hormones. So it actually took the dog a while in some cases to recognize the person again.
Huh.
I had the same thing happen.
I've also heard stories of people in that situation where a friend has a dog and the individual transitions, and when they meet the dog the next time, the dog is surprised, but then changes the relationship with them completely.
Mhm.
That makes sense. I once had my hair done, and it was so different when I came home that my oldest daughter, who was 1.5 at the time, didn't recognize me and didn't want anything to do with me until she started hearing my voice and realizing it was me.
Oh.
My mom got her hair frosted, frosted tips. I was about 9 or 10, and it just absolutely freaked me out. I couldn't deal with it. I cried for hours, and I was real happy when it finally grew out. It's ugly.
That's funny. I cried for years trying to get my mom to chop my hair off. And when I hit 16, I was playing basketball, and my braid came down over my shoulder. My hand got stuck in it, and the other person grabbed the ball and went and made a basket. And I looked in the stands and I yelled, "I'm getting my hair cut." And she said, "Okay, okay, okay." And we went and chopped it off like 2 days later. It was great.
There's a comment there, Granny, from Robin. I don't know if you want to address it. I'm curious as to everyone's opinions on neopronouns. I think they're quite invasive. Let me pull that up. Here we go. Yeah. Quite invasive. It's an unreal expectation for people to learn non-English / foreign pronouns while them already exists. I'm going to call you whatever you ask me to.
I would tend to generally agree with that. I think the neopronouns, really just confuse issues. We've got so much to cover to get people used to it to begin with, that I think just throwing that in complicates things more, and I don't understand what it accomplishes.
So I'll have to be a stick in the mud about that, because I'm going to call you what you want. If you want a neopronoun, I'm going to learn it, I'm going to use it, and I'm going to respect you.
I will still use it for someone if they ask me to, but I am much more likely to forget it, just because it'll be a word that's not actually part of my vocabulary.
Learning a new word is no genuine taxation on the brain or the personality. You just learn another word. We've been learning words all our life. However, I think when we do ask a culture, like in this situation, to learn words that are completely foreign to them, and then not only do that, but then integrate them to the correct person who they've always dealt with in another way, and that this pattern has been going on for 10, 20,000 years, it's going to be a hard cycle to break. And so therefore people with the neopronouns need to understand they're not just bucking somebody's memory, they're bucking 20,000 years of human behavior, and epigenetics have something to do with this too.
Well, for me, it's also that, I am on the autistic spectrum, so I have a really hard time remembering people's names to begin with. So this is, it's basically like adding one more name for that person when I probably can't remember their name to begin with.
I'm not very good with faces. And I've really learned that when I watch movies, because men are the hardest for me to differentiate between, because I tend to focus on hair, and there's so much variation in women's hair. But men, it's either the blonde man or the dark-haired man. And there's 3 dark-haired men in the movie. I can't tell which one is which.
You can't remember George Clooney. He has one look. squinting. That's all he does. Every roll, he just squints.
Yeah, I also have the face blindness that, even people that I've known for a long time, if I run into them somewhere that I'm not expecting to see them, I don't really recognize them.
Yeah, my niece, she's on the spectrum, and she has apparently body dysmorphia, and she says she looks in the mirror and she can't see anything. Like, she asked me to describe what she looked like, and I was looking at some of the. Yeah, and I was looking at because she's a beautiful artist, so looking at the pictures that she's drawing, and I'm like, that looks like you. So does that one and that one, and she couldn't see it. Yeah, she says she honestly feels she looks in the mirror and sees nothing. Yeah.
I'm just gonna mess with Granny one day and put in contacts and a blonde wig, and she won't know who the fuck I am.
Yep, not until I hear your voice.
Yeah, the dysmorphia is definitely not just a trans thing. There are a lot of cis people who have dysmorphia, and the image they see in the mirror does not match the image they see in their mind.
That's right. That's right. It's
but she described it to me as basically seeing absolutely nothing in the mirror.
Yeah, that's why I say I've never heard of it being quite to that extent. It's interesting. But it is something that happens. A lot of people, especially people, who develop eating disorders or are dieting a lot, is often because they can't get the image in the mirror to match their brain.
That's why we change the body to match the brain now, because you can't do the other way around.
And it kills me
Junie's
that.
Here. Hey.
Hi, Junie.
Oh yeah, Junie's been here the whole time. Just random comments.
I've been worried about Junie because we don't hear from her nearly as much anymore. So I'm just glad to see that she's well.
Yeah.
Junie, you can't have a dog because you transitioned. The dog is going to attack you. Okay, just you've learned. Okay, you just don't blame anybody but yourself. By the way, if anybody likes
that problem,
having anime avatars, Junie is an expert at drawing anime avatars.
Junie has done almost all of my avatars and most of the artwork for my channel.
Oh, message me,
even
Junie.
the avatar you're looking at now is something that Junie created for the Christmas stream last year.
Message me, Junie. I can pay. Oh, so immigrants have like stacks of cash, right? We just pull it out from nowhere.
Yeah.
Junie,
no, seriously.
Is it true that the camera shows a different image than a mirror when taking a selfie?
Yes. But you can flick a switch on the selfie thing to switch it to just like a mirror.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, whether or not it reverses the image. I have to say that Junie has a very bad business model. That Junie has done most of my artwork, and she is one of my Patreon subscribers. So effectively, she is paying me to work for me.
Yes.
Just like Squigworth or SpongeBob.
There's my Junie avatar.
Oh, cute.
Yep.
I think SpongeBob was one of the first cartoons that I realized that most cartoons are family oriented, as in they have like adult jokes that you don't get as a kid.
Yeah.
And I never realized that. Then I started watching things from when I was a kid, and I'm like, how did I miss it?
Yeah, because you don't know. Your mind's so innocent. But cartoons were originally aimed towards adults anyway.
Yeah, Jay Ward, the creator of Bullwinkle, said that his primary audience was college students.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
I have a question for you. Does anybody remember the cartoon The Snorks?
Say again?
The Snorks. Anyone remember that cartoon?
Oh, the Snorks.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Lived under the sea, had the little bubbly thing. Yeah.
Little bubbles, and they had like
the
long
Snorks
noses.
were what you get when you drown Smurfs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty much. But I was talking about it the other day at work, and everyone was like, "What?" And I was having one of those Mandela effect moments. I'm like, I know this was a cartoon. I think it only had like 1 or 2 seasons because it just wasn't,
They were
It was
trying to compete
overshadowed.
with the Smurfs, and they just couldn't get a big enough market share.
I loved that.
I've always
Yeah.
wanted to be blue like a Smurf. I will give them that much credit.
Well, Jenny, that can be achieved by wrapping something around your throat, but I wouldn't really recommend doing it without a spotter.
Well, there's a lot of the purple that comes in too, and you know how I feel about purple.
Junie, yeah, I was not aware that you are homeless. And do you need assistance?
Yeah.
Yeah, when did that happen?
Let us know what
Wait,
you
was
need.
that a joke or are you being honest?
No, I was aware of that privately for some time, but I didn't know that Junie had ever said publicly, so I wasn't going to say it.
Junie, put a
Oh.
PayPal address in the
Yeah.
chat.
That's why I have been so worried about her, because I was aware she was living out of her car.
Yes, please. Yeah, give us a PayPal or Venmo or whatever link, please.
Yeah. See, I understand how she's private, because I have a lot of things that go on in my life, but I don't like to put it out there because I don't want to feel like I'm asking the community for things.
Yeah, I've been homeless twice in my life, so I know what that's like.
Junie, I just gave you a wrench so you can add links to whatever so that people can give you a hand.
Folks in the chat who are newish to the group and topic and stuff, notice how none of us were shocked that Junie is homeless. It's because it's such a very common thing in the trans community. We are readily evicted from apartments all the time. It's completely legal in many states, and then nobody freaking cares. And we can't get another place because we are fired from our jobs and can't get another one that pays as much as we had before.
Well, also, if you've been evicted from an apartment, it's going to be really hard to find any landlord who's not going to find that on your credit record.
Yep.
This is why I'd love to have my own proper business and be able to hire everybody and give people a decent living, you know?
Right. Okay, Wanderer, Mage had gone and Googled it for you. The Storks lasted 4 seasons from 1982 to 1989.
Yay! I'm not crazy.
Nope, it's documented on Google.
I thought Snork was the way some
what
people
Junie
laugh.
just said. It's exactly why I'm homeless, because I'm trans.
Yep. And it happens to a lot of trans people because their family don't accept the transition and they wind up getting booted out of their own home.
And it's even harder for male to female trans folks.
Yeah.
It is harder.
Yeah, see,
it's
I'm
more to turn into a male than it is for a male to turn female.
Yeah, I'm still technically self-employed. I'm an independent contractor. I'm not going to say the contract I've got right now, but they are brilliant. Like, I think maybe I've come in contact with about 25 colleagues who are trans.
Yeah.
And they're really, really welcoming, you know?
I talk a lot about problems I have with my family, but the one thing I have to give them credit for is that with one notable exception, they've been much more supportive than I expected.
Well, good for you, Amber.
I used to have a lot of problems with my family, but then they all died. You know,
yeah.
Another advantage of getting old.
Are all of you familiar with the charity, the Rainbow Railroad?
No.
I had never heard of it until somebody mentioned it. Yeah, there was a host on the Daily Show that that promoted it and was doing a fundraiser for it. And Junie, they might be able to help you. And they are a charity that is specifically designed to help people that are in the LGBTQ community.
Well, and the Rainbow Railroad, they named it that as a nod to the Underground Railroad.
Right.
Because a lot of what they're doing is the states that have passed laws against giving people transgender, trans-affirming care, they're helping them move to other states. And part of why I know about that is because Minnesota, our governor declared this a sanctuary state, so it's a popular destination for that. Because our governor has publicly said that anyone who is trans and can't get the care they need where they live is welcome to come here, and they will get whatever trans-affirming care they need.
So, some of you new guys, something else you might not be aware of is that there is a movement on the part of 19 different red states. Oops, I said red. 19 different states who are literally writing laws to eventually have all trans people not exist. Okay, and they're starting it with the children and denying them medical care. They're starting with the children and forcing them to be out publicly, whether they want to be or not. They're doing it to children by taking away their gender care or whatever nature that goes to, having to forced detransition, which will raise their unaliving rate to probably 40% or more. Okay, and all the stuff that they're doing to children, it's a couple words out of instilling it into the law for adults too.
Yeah.
They are going for all of us, and then they're going for the LGBTQ or LGBT group. Okay, nobody is immune to these bastards. They're coming for all of us.
Well, in a couple of states, the rhetoric was about protecting the children, and they managed to get laws passed because they got people riled up about it. But then the laws said things like no one under 25.
Yeah.
So it's like, so all the people 18 to 25, you qualify as children?
Yeah.
Children who can buy cars and homes and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really important, again, for you noobs. I know that there's lots of people here that heard this so many times. Transition is life-saving. I don't know a single trans person who was not on the edge of self-demise prior to transitioning, and myself included. I was in my late 20s, but that doesn't change the severity of it. It's a terrible albatross to hang around your neck. Nobody wants to be trans, because once you become trans, everybody hates you.
That's exact. Thank you
That's
for saying
not
that,
true.
Jenny.
I love
It's
you all. I
exactly
never hated any of you.
It's exactly why. Oh damn it, Lone! You can't do that to me. Every time you guys talk before I talk, I forget what I was going to say.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I'm ADD.
Jenny, maybe if you repeat what you just said, it would help.
What was the last sentence you said?
I forgot.
You know?
You're talking about everyone hates trans people.
That as soon as you transition,
Oh,
then
yeah.
people start
Yeah.
hating
Oh,
you.
thank you. And the horrible side of the world says, "Oh, you guys are trying to recruit people and make them gay and make them trans." And all I can think is, no, we don't want them to have a horrible life.
Yeah.
We don't want them to be treated like shit and talked down to and everything else that we have to fucking go through just on a daily basis. Never mind the really hateful shit. No, I don't want any child to go through that.
The community that's involved
bullshit.
with social justice and stuff, particularly online here, is beginning to reach its limit for how much crap they're going to take from the hater community, which is different than the cis community. The hater community is all the people who are like insane zealot evangelicals, extremist right-wing politicians, extremist right-wing think tanks, billionaires who are funding the whole demise thing. It's a well-organized effort. They're dead serious about this, and they've been having way too much success at it. And so what a lot of the community has decided now is that it's time to stop trying to teach these people what trans is, because maybe if they learn the facts, they'll come around. No, they have their philosophical bent and they don't care. And so everybody's coming around to saying no longer, do you have such and such problem with transgender? And let's answer that question. To having the new question is, it's not me, it's you. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Because it is. What the story I get to tell everybody is because I transitioned 45 years ago, And all these naysayers are being stupid and saying, oh, well, this has been a giant problem for the last 5 years. These damn liberals, blah, 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 blah. Dude, between the years that I transitioned and now, it wasn't a problem because nobody fucking cared about us. Nobody took notice. Nobody hated us. They just said, well, that's just another group of people that are out there. And then it wasn't until the deliberate attempt politically and socially to marginalize us further, to make people hate us more, and to ease up their efforts to eradicate us, that it's been an issue. In the old days, people said, oh, you're trans, really? Oh, tell me about that. I've always wondered. You know, they were kind, they're friendly, they're helpful. Yes, there were haters, but their numbers were tiny, and they usually gave up pretty quick because they realized that they can't control another individual. And today, that's all different. It's 180 degrees from that.
Yeah, until they needed a new scapegoat, trans people were just too small a group to bother with politically.
I have to say, as far as historically, in 1935, when my grandmother was 18 years old, she was invited to be a judge at a beauty contest. And when the lights came on and the whole thing was done, her and her sister who were there realized the whole place was all men, and it was a drag show. That was 1935, folks. This shit is not new. And they weren't like, oh my God. They were just like, oh, well damn, I didn't even know. That was it.
Germany had a thriving LGBT trans culture until Hitler came in. Like, they had a beautiful, it was thriving.
Which doesn't mean spreading, because the most important thing that everybody who hates us likes to ignore is that you cannot create a trans person. You cannot create a gay person just by talking about things.
No.
Okay? We are born this way. It's biological. We can't change it. Our only decision is whether or not we're going to transition.
Yes. Yep. I've always said that. That's the only choice you have, is whether you come out or you transition. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, that's what I was going to say earlier. People want to have fits about surgeries, right? So what about the cis guy that gets in an accident and his penis is mangled? Or what about the cis woman who she's flat chested and it's just not how she feels like she should be, and she gets a boob job?
Or the other way around. A woman who has too much and wants it reduced.
And has a reduction. Exactly. The point is, it's what makes us
what is a woman?
Our fucking flesh shells. That's what it is.
Yeah, one of my cousins had to have a breast reduction because they were so large they were screwing up her back.
That happened to my son pre-transition. He had a breast reduction, went down from a double G to a C.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like 30 pounds of, actually, I think it was 26 pounds total of weight taken off of his chest between the two of them. Yeah.
Wow.
Frank, I think Frank
and really helped his dysphoria too.
2-for-1 special.
I have to step out. I got a wee.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing.
I always put up the little avatar that I have that says "gotta poop."
Yeah.
If I don't go now, I'm going to leave a little trail behind me.
Okay.
Jenny,
whenever someone tells me that, I'm like, "What? Do you want me to come hold your hand? Do you need help wiping? Like, what? Why are you telling me this?"
The day I need help wiping, shoot me. I'm good.
Yeah. I don't know if Beck's seen that. Sumami has been talking about the idea of building a tiny home community for people.
I actually did see that, but I had to concentrate on my thought or I was going to lose it again. Actually, me and some friends want to build a tiny home community that is all inclusive.
Yeah. Well, I was saying that you and I have all the skills to build a house.
Adults only, though.
Abso-fucking-lutely, Purple. Like, literally, between me and Purple, we could, like, build the whole house like by ourselves. We literally have the knowledge between
you give me all the materials and about 4 helpers, and I can build the house from scratch.
Fuck yeah. And you don't even have to do that these days. You can do like I did and buy a whatever size cargo trailer you want and just outfit the inside.
Have you still got the videos of you building that on your channel? Because that was a great journey. Everyone go watch it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
on there.
I was so every
Yeah.
time every week I was like so excited to see the next one and the next, But then I was being all critical, like, no, why'd you put the toilet there?
Yeah, I didn't find out about till you were almost done with the project, but I went back and I watched through that whole series.
I have a project to complete because I have not put a shower in. I go to my landlords to shower.
Mhm.
So
you'd
I'm
put a
going to be
little shower.
redoing. I never got
Oh.
to it.
No.
So, well, I was broke there for a while and I just
Yeah.
recently had enough money to get the parts.
Mhm.
So now I actually have pretty much, except for the shower pan. That's my big stumper right now is I'm trying to find, I should have built my kitchen back a little further, but then my living space would be so much smaller. So, it's just a fight of space at this point.
I
But
know.
I have everything except for the shower pan now, and I'm ready to redo the whole thing once the weather warms up. So, yep.
But you should go check it
Thank
out,
you,
guys. Go to Beck's channel.
Yeah, it's
check
under
it out.
Tiny Home Stuff on my channel. Yep. Go under playlists. It's under Tiny Home Stuff. Yeah, it's from when I brought it home and the first putting up insulation to driving away. Yeah.
Purple, who's next on the marathon after this one?
Let me take a quick look at the
Slim,
playlist.
maybe?
Slim? Okay.
Oh
Might
yeah,
be
yeah.
Slim.
Slim Cyborg is up after you.
Okay.
Yeah.
If somebody could put a link into the chat, I'll go ahead and pin that.
Yep.
And
Okay.
that way when we get to the end, everyone can shift over to Slim's channel.
Yeah. And
Slide
that'll be
on
fun
over.
because Slim's a nut.
Yeah, I would agree with that one.
I love Slim.
I don't know. I need to
Yeah.
look through the thesaurus for another name.
Your
Mr.
first
Shadow
impression of
Kitty,
Slim
I haven't seen you in
is very-
forever.
Your one's
Sorry.
first impression of Slim is always
Good
very
Yule.
dubious.
Happy
But when you
solstice,
get to
Merry
know him, you
Yule.
find out he's this very, very brilliant guy who
Yeah.
knows exactly what he wants and how he's going to take people's money.
And
Oh,
he's got a heart of gold.
earn his keep.
Yeah, he's got a big heart too. Like he's just a good guy. He wants everybody to be happy and be themselves. And he's
One
he's
of
great to hang out
Slim's
with.
weekly things is just called Crazy Shit. That he goes and finds the most bizarre stories on the internet.
He's got a special talent for that.
He does.
That does take talent. I'm flabbergasted at people who find certain things. I'm always astounded at the Friendly Atheist at some of the stories that he finds, especially when he found one last year about a local family, or not family, a city council that had this big meeting protesting Yule festival coming to their town.
Oh no!
Yes,
And
I
that
remember
town
that.
is 45 minutes away from where I live. I mean, I said,
Yes.
Oh no way.
how did you find this
And I
when
didn't.
it's so close to me and I knew absolutely nothing about it?
I
Little
know.
podunk town too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it figures.
Yeah, I
you're
remember
good.
that there
We're going to
was-
protest the holiday that we stole to make Christmas with, huh? Boy,
Mhm.
that's logical.
Okay.
Oh,
this,
you got
this
another
is a
super
decent
chat.
question. Why do so many atheists become liberals? It seems very slanted in that direction.
I was
I'm
always
not
a liberal.
Eh,
Yeah, I don't think atheists become liberals. I think liberals become atheists.
I would
agree.
agree
Yeah,
with that, Granny.
I'd agree.
But
Yeah, I think it's
I
not
know
the
a
other way.
Republican who's an atheist. He's in the next
Yeah.
room.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, I didn't find
Good
out he
point.
was a Republican until we were married for 8 years. So I guess that tells you how lukewarm he is. But I was joking to say it was probably his mother who forced him to write that down when he got his license. But that's another story.
Probably. I would agree.
Yeah, I always
Yeah,
laugh
that-
at the surveys for Trump we get in the mail.
I had someone tell me that it was inevitable that I would eventually become an atheist because I was so liberal. When I began my journey as a believer, I was a staunch conservative,
Mm-hmm.
and my views just moved slightly more liberal, and eventually I became where I am today. and someone said, "Yeah, you just can't be that liberal and be a Christian."
Yeah. If memory serves, you were brought up a lapsed Catholic, and then you found another faith at university, if I remember
Well, yeah, my
correctly.
parents were Catholic when I was very young, but they left the
Yeah.
church when I was just 7. So I
Mhm.
really say that I was brought up agnostic because
Mhm.
most of my growing up years, they were not going to church.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I became an evangelical at 16,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
I believed what they told me, hook, line, and sinker.
Mm.
I thought that, when they told me that the Bible was the absolute truth, I believed that, and so I believed all the things that they were giving me, all the literature that went along with it, because hey,
Mhm.
this was straight from God.
Mhm.
Yep. Oh yeah,
Yay,
they know
God.
how to make it sound really convincing that they're right, don't they? I mean, they
Mhm.
really can brainwash some people. It's true. Yeah, see, even Azo just said I lean right myself. And Azo's definitely an atheist.
I
Mhm.
love it. Jason Jacoby says, "I want the left wing and the right wing served with my buffalo sauce."
Yeah, right.
I don't like hot stuff.
We're not talking
Yeah.
about meat. Shh.
There is
It
a
burns. It
creator I
burns my
found on
liberal
you.
sensibilities. I think of all the habaneros that gave up their lives to burn my mouth, and it's just not right.
Jenny, whatever.
There is an atheist creator I found on YouTube that I find him very puzzling, because I agree with almost everything he says about religion, and I disagree with virtually everything he says about politics.
I finally remembered the name of that conservative atheist. It's Javier.
Oh
Yes.
That's
yeah.
it. I remember
Yep.
that
Yeah,
one.
I
I've
don't.
seen him.
Yeah.
I don't really
Javier,
jive with. Yeah.
Javier.
He's cool. I just don't jive. You know.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. You guys are great. No, I agree though. I think that more people find their way out of religion because of who they are as a person, and they just happen to be forward thinking, and then they see the light one day. It's just like that video I shared on Twitter with the lady that said, yeah, one day it hit me and I realized this was all bullshit, and that Trumpers are a cult, MAGA's a cult, they're crazy, they have no idea what they're talking about. And I was like, see, even a Trumper can see the light, but that's how it is. I feel like that happens first, because
Well,
if you're not liberal thinking, you're never going to see the light, right?
actually, I think it's a case where there are several paths that can lead you to the same place.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I've noticed the big overlap, and it's like, so if you're trans or gay, or if you're questioning religion, if you question one thing that's like a major component of your life, then you have to start re-examining everything.
Yeah, for me, even though I had become, very liberal, and I experienced a little bit of what you were talking about, Beck. There were a lot of MAGAs and Trumpers at my church, and it disgusted me. But it didn't disgust me to the point where I would leave the church or leave the faith, because I always looked at it as, okay, that's just those particular people. That's not the
Right.
religion in general. And what convinced me to leave the religion was when I was shown that the Bible wasn't true, because my whole faith was built on, this is the word of God. Every word in here is true. And so it only took somebody showing me that one thing in there was false, and the whole thing just collapsed.
Well,
See,
yeah, because if it's inconsistent, it's fucking inconsistent. That's it.
Right.
If it's not true,
a
it's
lot
not
of people, if they're with a church that doesn't, take the Bible to the letter,
Right.
often even if they're questioning their religion, even if they're questioning, what they're being taught for the religion, they can't leave their church because the church has become an extended family.
That's why I never fit the mold, because I couldn't accept everything. But yeah, Granny, I'd always wanted to ask you that when you were going through your journey of going out of faith, like, was there ever any point before that you questioned the Bible, or did you always just believe it 100%?
There was a very short time where I questioned one thing in the Bible, and that was hell. And I came to that when I reasoned my way into the divine hiddenness argument. And once I realized that, if God wanted everyone to believe in him, all he had to do was reveal himself in a way that made sense and drew everyone to himself. And the only way that there could be unbelievers in existence is either God is unable or unwilling to do that. And if God is unable, then he's not God. And if he's unwilling, then he's not all loving like he claims he is. So I said, there's got to be some, but I still didn't give up the faith. I said, there's got to be something I'm missing here. There's another piece to the puzzle, and I'm never going to understand that piece to the puzzle until I'm dead. So I'm just going to accept that God has some kind of plan where it's all going to be just, it's all going to be fair. And God, and really, I thought God was probably going to save people after they were dead, because even though the Christians say that that's not possible, there is nothing in the Bible that says that's not possible. There's nothing in the Bible that says you can't convert and decide to accept God after you are dead. And so I said, I think that is the answer.
So
And
that's really interesting.
But yeah, I was only at that point for maybe 2 to 4 weeks. And then came the point where Aaron Ra showed me that historically the flood didn't happen. And then the whole thing just collapsed.
So you weren't taught to question, because a lot of the churches I went to were very much, always questioning your faith, looking at things, debating scripture.
No, not only did we not question it, when I was church librarian of the church where I started the library, we were very picky about what we allowed into the library. Anything that did not agree with our faith was not allowed in the library. And we didn't see that as being closed-minded. Instead, the way we looked at it was, okay, we already know that this is true. Why should I read something that I already know is false?
So you're completely closed-minded.
Sort of like, why would I ever read a book by a flat earther? I know the earth isn't flat. What a ridiculous thing to do.
Interesting.
Okay, we have another.
I think a great deal of atheists become atheists because they read the Bible or studied the Bible.
Yes.
I agree with Constellation that if you study other religions and you just employ comparative religiosity with all religions, and you find out that, all these Christian holidays are pagan holidays that they took over because they wanted people to be Christian, and it was just a wise move in terms of social engineering to take these holidays. And now as we've grown older as a culture, we've been able to find the written and archaeological reasons or proof that these kind of things went on. I just can't see anybody who has genuinely studied religion to continue being religious for any religion, not just Christianity.
Yeah, Constellation says that they took 6 years to research Judaism and Christianity and then leave it behind.
Yeah, you were a lot quicker than I was. When I gave up the Bible, I spent 25 years looking into all sorts of pagan faiths before I finally gave up religion.
That was the one thing I was really surprised at this year on at least on Twitter. There has been so much discussion of Christmas was not a pagan holiday before it was Christmas. All of these pagan celebrations that were
AIG.
don't predate. Yeah. Well, no, it's not just the AIG. Frank Turek took it up. I think J. Warner Wallace did, but I saw it coming from at least 5 different directions.
I had a running argument for a couple of weeks about whether or not a Christmas tree was a pagan icon. And when we finally boiled it down, it was like, what do you define as a Christmas tree? Which came to the same thing of, okay, define a chair.
Right.
So what we were arguing over was that they thought a Christmas tree had to be cut down and dragged in the house. I was including trees that were still outside with the roots attached that were decorated.
Mm-hmm.
If X is not vegan, then I do not trust. Okay. Unless X is not pro-life. Huh.
A Christian method you can use to, well, I shouldn't say Christian method, a method that exists in these Christian holiday times, to hang on to reinforce and hang on to your pagan roots, is when you're done with the tree, is to eat it, because it then becomes one with you, and you just believe more correctly then, because it's just this like really cool chemical thing in a mono bowl, and you know, it's like
man.
science.
As says, what pastors aren't scholars? What nonsense is that?
You know, I have literally found in my wanderings through this life, I have found that out of all the people I've met in this world, and I've been all over the United States, atheists know more about the Bible than 75-80% of the Christians.
Yep.
I'd say there's a 15 to 20% of Christians that know that fucking Bible, but most of them, they just know little passages that they were told in church, and they repeat it and they repeat it and they repeat it.
Yep. It's Sun Tzu, the art of war. Know thy enemy.
The end of my acceptance with the Bible was when I was reading through it as a teenager. Especially Leviticus was extremely distressing to me. So I went and I talked to the senior pastor of our church, and I set up a couple of private consultations with him. And in the end, because I figured, of course, he's the expert on the Bible. Why wouldn't he be? And in the end, all he could really tell me was that, well, we don't really focus as much on the Old Testament. Just skip over and just read the New Testament.
If anybody's questioning out there, go track down the movie 1946. It's a new documentary that is just coming off of the film festival circuit and becoming available to the public. It's a story about a completely true story. They have the papers, certificates, all the receipts. Of these guys who started to investigate the King James Version and the translation, and the argument that people had for a long time that, it doesn't really say homosexual. Okay. Well, they went back and looked at all those translations that occurred. They went through the written records, which were still on file at places like Harvard and Yale. And they tracked it all down and followed, notes from meetings and various discussions. And what they discovered is, and this is going to be the killer, the word homosexual didn't appear, or the implication of homosexual didn't appear in the Bible, in the King James Version, until 1946. Go find an old Bible printed before 1946 and read it yourself.
According to my asshole ex-brother, the most pure, least translated book that we can currently get a hold of easily is the Matthew's 1537.
Yeah.
So look that one up. It does not say the same thing as what you find today in a typical Bible.
Well, my guest last week, Dr. Bird, was talking about that as well, is that what they are translating homosexuality really had nothing to do with homosexuality. It was all about social status, and that a man should never have sex with a person who has a different social, it's okay to have sex for a man
lower than them
with a lower social status. So a man can have sex with a slave of any gender, provided because they're of lower status. But a man can't have sex with another man because they're of equal status.
Wow,
and a woman can have sex with anyone because anyone has a higher status than a woman. So she's not, trying to go after someone that's her equal. And that was the whole thing, is it was all a status thing.
It was a really good episode. You guys should watch that, actually. Dr. Bird.
Yeah, I'd love to see Dr. Bird on more.
Buy her book. I really recommend that you buy her book. It really was eye-opening for me.
I may have to.
Another little fun passage in the Bible is go to Matthew. Isn't it amazing how much trans and atheist people know about the Bible, even though we're beating that over the head with it? Matthew 19, verse 12, and read and understand what it's discussing when it talks about the 3 different types of eunuchs and trans people. And you'll maybe realize that trans people really are just people who are here forever.
There's also a part of the Bible that says, if a part of your body offends you, cut it off. It's better to lose the part of your body than to lose your mental health, is basically what it says. So
actually it says to be separated from God.
Yeah.
It's better to lose a part of your body than to be thrown into hell.
Okay, you're right. That is what it says. But my point is right there, it's saying it's okay to do it. So I don't see what the
to modify your
is.
own body if it doesn't suit what you think you should be.
Yeah, because if it makes you less than or whatever, farther away from God. Yeah, I guess that would.
Victoria, you can have or you are Victoria, excuse me. You can have sex with anyone you want as long as it's a consensual agreement with them.
Do they know that? I'm sorry, we're being rude, Granny. You were trying to do that super chat. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the super chat. But many pastors are liars. We know for a fact Mark 16, 9 through 20 are later additions. Nobody told me that until I learned it from Bart Ehrman. Pastors know this and don't mention it. Pretty sad there. I always knew that was a later addition because it said it right in my Bible. Most early translations don't include this. Do not make any doctrine that is dependent on this passage. It probably doesn't, wasn't in the original Bible. And I was fine with that. And it was Bart Ehrman pointing out that that's a forgery, because the person who added that intended to deceive people into thinking that this is part of the Bible. And they were successful. They did deceive. That makes it a forgery. And I was like, duh, why didn't I figure that out?
I accidentally led someone to atheism out of Christianity purely by discussing the fact that there were different versions of the Bible. They had no idea.
Really?
They had absolutely no idea. They had the King James Bible. That was so great. I'm like, did you ever wonder why they call it the King James Version? Did you ever read that? Like the front page? You're like, what? And then they started looking at but they're like, if God's word is true, then why are there all these different versions and translations? So I'm like, I leave the rest up to you. Some people wanted to convert it.
Enjoy, explore, learn.
Exactly.
Another very good source because
they.
Another very good source because they bring it down to a level, that anybody, with a high school education can understand, is a book called Who Wrote the Bible? And they also made a mini series out of it at one point. But it's basically just going into that, the different authors of the Bible and that we have these contradictions because it was written by several different people over a span of a couple of centuries.
It's interesting to me that despite all the indoctrination, back when we were kids, there was always Sunday religion on TV. About 2, 3, 4 hours of Sunday morning was made up by different church services, from Catholic to Presbyterian to Lutheran, whatever. But all this doctrine, all these godly cartoons, animations and stuff, all the Left Behind movies, that whole series. And it's just amazing that even despite all of those efforts, the atheism is going up and church membership is going down. The only thing I ever learned out of any one of those was on Davy and Goliath. Remember Davy and Goliath? The boy and his terry cloth dog.
Yeah.
The one thing I learned from them is to never reuse a cotter pin. and I'm dead serious.
Because they rust.
I'm gonna take it that in one of the episodes the cotter pin broke and a wheel fell off his wagon.
Oh yeah, and they wound God up in the whole issue and stuff. And it's because you use that cotter pin that or like made God mad, and so they used it. They made it break. Is basically what they were saying.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to need to do something here, and I'm sorry, Junie, but I think that some people are going to want to help you whether you want them to or not.
Thank you, Purple.
So while she wasn't going to give us a link, I went back to Amiga Nuts Master Shill list, and I've got Junie's Ko-Fi link. So that's a way that people could send money to her.
The internet never forgets.
Chat.
I thought she was saying she wanted Cash App.
Yeah, but she wasn't giving her Cash App link either because she said she didn't want to ask for money.
But does she still have the Ko-Fi active though? That's the thing too.
Yeah, Junie, do you still have access to that?
Like, is it still active? Because if it's not,
and we wait for that 3 to 7 second delay will kill you sometimes. Just waiting.
It's like anticipation.
It's also possible that Junie may have stepped away from her computer and maybe listening from a different part of the room and can't get to typing right away. I've done that.
Junie, try smoke signals.
Yeah. Well,
all of a sudden there's a puff of smoke in the chat from Junie.
Well, the
if
links
there's
in
3,
the side
it's yes,
chat,
2 is no.
The links in the side chat, so we could get on to answering another question. And well, actually, we've only got 5 minutes to Slim, so I guess we got to wrap up.
Yeah,
what's your favorite color?
Hunter green.
Things in the gray and black spectrum.
Earthy tones.
It's a shade of purple that's in the ultraviolet spectrum, so people can't see it.
Okay. Granny?
Yes. Oh, what's my favorite color? Green.
Green? Okay.
See,
a specific green or any green?
Kelly green.
My favorite is blue, ranging between electric blue and cobalt.
I do like dark blues for certain things. Yeah.
I don't know, green accent number 3 in Word.
Like if I'm going to dress up, I'll put on a blue shirt.
That question was for you in the chat too. Come on, what's your favorite color? Answer.
If you ask Sloth Girl for her favorite color, she will probably respond with a number that corresponds to the DMC embroidered floss.
Oh my god, lose me on that one. Sumami says pink.
Ooh, I love pink.
Okay, and Brainless Steel is saying that they're ready to take over in a few minutes.
Pink is infectious. The more you like pink, the more you like pink.
I like the absence of color.
There you go.
Obviously, I love purple. I'm not big on pink, but also, originally, purple was my late fiance's favorite color.
Aww.
But because I chose this handle and in the community at this point, purple is not just my favorite color, it has become my identity.
Okay, then my next question for
Jenny, I'm not quite finished.
I'm sorry.
As I've been building a woman's wardrobe, Sloth Girl rolls her eyes because I virtually never come back from clothes shopping without some purple things. And she said, you're going to get tired of wearing purple every day. And without even thinking, I snapped back, you really don't understand the autism part, do you?
Okay, while you were talking, I copied the link that Purple put in there for helping Junie out, and I put it into the description of this video. So if you are looking for the link after the show, it is in the description now.
Yep, and Junie says thanks, Perp. So yeah, she can access the money there.
Okay, we got 2 minutes. The last question is, what is your? There are 2 questions. One, what is your shoe size? And 2, are you telling the truth?
Okay, wait. Before you get to that, we've got to. We have a $50 super chat.
Ooh,
yeah. It takes a lot
Constellation Pegasus.
Yes, thank you so much, Constellation Pegasus. You have been most generous today. It takes a lot of frustrating work to get through this mess called Judaism Christianity. When I look back on it, I feel an accomplishment getting through that nightmarish research. I've suspended my research now. I'm tired of it. Physics is netter.
I think that's probably better.
Yeah, it was probably better. Just
okay.
a slight miskey.
Yep.
Constellation, I hope that you feel like you found a home here.
I agree. Yeah,
Yep.
I hope so too.
Yeah, and Constellation, I would love to have you come over to one of my chats and just tell us more about your journey.
Yep.
And Constellation, I'd like to have you just come over to my house and we'll do whatever.
Jenny wants to snuggle bunnies you.
So who knows how to translate that money to what I use? Because I have no idea how that translates.
I'm sorry, I don't know what the going price of the weed is in your area, so I can't translate it to your terms.
We're talking about the Ko-fi link.
Because it says dollars June.
Oh, okay, and Junie did give her a Cash App now too.
Okay. And I will copy that and put that in the description as well. But I'm going to do that after the show because
yeah,
we're at the top of the hour now, so we need to wrap up and hand it over.
Yep. Okay, so thank you everyone in the chat. It has been a wonderful discussion. Thank you to my guests. Thank you, Lone Wanderer, Beck, Jenny, and Purple. This has been a wonderful stream and a wonderful discussion, and thank you all for being here.
Yeah, I'm glad I woke up in time to get at least half of this.
Yeah. And everyone head over to Slim's channel. The description is pinned to the chat here. So if you don't know what it is, just hit that and you can head on over to see Slim.
I think I just finished my 20th hour at this.
Wow. I think you need some rest, Jenny.
Yeah, you need to go take
I got a
nap
couple
at
hours
least.
before this show. I'm okay.
Okay.
All right. Live your life.